Okay.
So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Tonight we have Chiyuki telling us all about teacher well-being, something we all are very interested in hearing about. So thank you very much, Chiyuki, for doing this for us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. And everyone, thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday night. Don't you have anything to do? No, I'm just joking. Thank you so much for having. Well, this is a great opportunity for me to share some of my experiences. I'll be totally honest with you. And when we are talking about language teacher well-being, I'm talking about well-being for kind of human. And also there are some social stigma towards mental issues or anxieties or something. And I just do not want to have that anymore in Japan. I had enough of social stigma, and I hope that today's lesson is going to be the first, I mean, not lesson, but the workshop. This is going to be workshop. Workshop is going to be the first step to discuss all those issues because I had some mental issues. It wasn't really serious ones, but tiny mental issues. I learned that there are so many people who are having the similar issues all the time, and that I wasn't only one. So I wondered, like, how come I didn't know about those, your struggles, your situation, your problems? How come you didn't tell me? I thought. And then I thought that I realized that social stigma, and that we couldn't really have open discussion. So it became my mission to have the open discussion about the well-being, not only the language teachers, but my presentation today is focusing on the language teacher, because teaching, especially language, is interactive, and it's really vulnerable occupation compared to others. Like, imagine language teacher has always interactive classes, yeah? So we cannot really lecture, one-sided lecture. So that, of course, we are exposed to a lot of maybe anxieties or some tests. So probably we are in a really the most vulnerable occupation among those lecturers. For example, like if you teach the history, well, you can make it really interactive, but usually I remember when I was taking the classes in the university in Japan, I just sit down, listen to the lecture, 90 minutes, and then almost fall asleep. But the teacher didn't really even realize that. So that was not really, I can't really ask the questions. It's not interactive, so I can't even judge anybody. There's no criticism to the teacher. So, but language teacher cannot really do that. We are always interactive. That means really, really vulnerable. So we really have to think about our well-being. So at the beginning, I will explain why I started thinking about this well-being. At the beginning, of course, in 2020, we have experienced something unimaginable before. Nobody ever imagined that pandemic, COVID-19. I remember the last year, 2019, it was a winter or something. We heard the rumor that something contagious, really the sickness happened somewhere in the world. But we still think that, well, it happens all the time. It's not really a big deal. And then in February 2020, we are getting a little bit nervous about, like, what is happening in the world? Oh, this is like more serious than we thought. And then by the March, we are like, panic. What am I gonna do? Right? Can we keep the jobs? Yeah, so that was the 2020 March. And in April, probably all of us, if as long as a language teacher, well, the university or junior high school or senior high school, or elementary school, it doesn't matter. All the teachers are in panic. What can we do under this extremely unusual situation, right? Everybody in like, what shall we do? And at that time, in March and in April, I started learning something called video conferencing, such as Zoom. Right now, everybody talks about Zoom, everybody knows. Even Jackie's father and mother, right? Jackie knows how to use the Zoom. It's all over the world, everybody got familiar with. But at the beginning of 2020, I didn't even know Zoom. I was like, what do you mean by Zoom? What do you mean by video conferencing? Is that Skype? Is it similar? Or is it like FaceTime a little bit? Or what is it? I didn't know. I didn't even know what the breakout room is, annotate means. How can I share all the stuff? I had no idea whatsoever. And also I'm a part-time lecturer at several universities. The university announced that we're going to use this video conferencing tools such as Zoom or other stuff, like 2 or 3 different kinds. And we are like, do we have to learn that? Yes, of course, we need to within a few weeks. Unreal. And LMS, Learning Managing System, we have to learn, I have to learn more than 2 and 3. And 1 is mouthful. 1 is like such a learning, curve. And I had no confidence to learn within a few weeks. But I remember on Facebook, there's kind of the teachers self-generated group happens. It's called OTJ. And they started helping each other and finding the time to teach each other. And we try to find the best way to facilitate some kind of learning for the students online. Even the physical classroom was taken away, but we try to do the best, right? So, and in May, I was seeing that all the chaos, but also the perseverance of the teachers. And then I thought, I should do that too. It was really inspiring. And in May, in order to investigate how other teachers, especially part-time teachers, because I'm a part-timer too, cope with the pandemic. And I joined a team of 4 researchers and started something called the Teacher Wellbeing Project, which is we weekly ask the nearly 100 part-time teachers weekly survey and then how they feel every week, and if there is any issues or problems you would like to talk about, or if you have any ways to deal with those extreme stress, please let us know. And well, this one actually, the result is of this project would be was shared actually at the JOLT and then tomorrow as well. So I'm not going to talk about in detail. Well, by the way, tomorrow Mary is going to present as well, and this is a joint conference of some chapters, which is Saitama, Gifu, Niigata, Shizuoka. It's called Developments in Professional Development. So if you are interested in, please join as well. So we're going to talk about tomorrow, we're going to talk about the project more in detail. But today, the focus is individual teachers' well-being and then coping strategies and what kind of activities we could do, okay? And individually or with your maybe coworkers or friends, okay? And this summer, actually, in 2021, I took this online course, kind of ironic because I was zoomed out and I didn't really want to do anything online, but I found this course called the Science WellBeing by Dr. Santos. She's a professor of positive psychology at the Yale University. It was an amazing course and it was free. I was like, wow, this is like, you know, a gift from God. So in the course, I learned a series of challenges designed to increase your own happiness and build more productive habits, which I will like to share with you today as a workshop part after this. So then another story is about my personal story. After the spring semester in 2020, and I was working on and trying to think about what can I do every single day, work, didn't think about my well-being or my feelings or my physical condition, mental condition. I didn't think about that at all. I was too busy to think about what can I do or in order to do all the classes successfully or in a way okay, you know. Then right after, it was ironic, right after I finished all the gradings and a few kind of relieved, and I had the first panic attack. Have you ever heard of a panic attack? And I've never had that before, and I wasn't really familiar with. And I don't have any stigma towards that, but still, I didn't really hear from any of my friends, some, but I didn't really get into a detail. So I wasn't really sure what it was. The trigger was a phone call from my brother, who told me that his one of his part-time worker, well, he owns a business. One of his part-time worker got the COVID threat. She might have COVID and she might have to go to the hospital. You know, then, and I met him a couple of days before. So he warned me that you might have COVID as well, so be careful. And at that time I was okay. I didn't have any panic, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm healthy enough. So I don't really feel anything. I don't have any symptoms. So I hung up, and then I didn't really think of that. But suddenly, like my heart beating really fast, and then my breathing is like much shorter, and somehow I couldn't stop. I couldn't really breathe. I was like, what is happening? What is happening? And then I had no idea what was happening, and it was the panic attack. Seriously, I thought I was having a heart attack or I was having a COVID, really. So I can't really breathe, so probably I'm having that and I'm dying. And my daughter was sleeping in her room, and then when I told her that I think I'm dying, something wrong with me, she was like, I'm still sleeping. She didn't help me, so I rushed. Yeah, don't depend on your kids. Okay, anyway, I rushed to the hospital nearby, and the doctor told me that you are having panic attack. And that was the first time I realized, what is it? And she gave me some medicine and says, well, if you cannot really sleep, have this, sleeping pill. And if you feel a little bit nervous again, take this antidepressant, right? And then after 1 week, I went back there and then say, I can't sleep. My heartbeat is still going. I feel so nervous. I can't really feel anything positive. I can't really read, watch TV or movies because I always like 24 hours feeling nervous. Do something, And then she was like, oh no, and you are still young. Why don't you go out and then do some exercise instead of depending on the medicine? But by the time I wasn't sure what to do with this nervous feelings. So I was like, please give me the medicine. Please give me the drug, that kind of, stuff. And well, and I don't usually drink alcohol. So, and I don't smoke. So I wasn't really taking anything. I usually drink a lot of coffee, which is not really good. I was like really too hyper as well. So nothing really helped to calm myself down. But one hospital to another and one counselor to another, I was seeking for the way to calm myself down. By the time fall semester, I was thinking, I gotta be normal. I gotta be normal. I can't be so jumpy and crazy like this. During the summer, it was okay because no teaching, but I was thinking that. And researchers on me, because nothing really worked. The medicine and the teachers talk, the doctors talk, and then counseling didn't really work so much. It worked for maybe 1 day or maybe longest 2 days. And then this nervous breakdown happens again. And then my emotion is up and down like a roller coaster. I was exhausted because of my feelings. And I started researching on YouTube. I started asking my friends, have you heard of the panic attack? Have you heard anything this one? Do you feel anxious? And one by one, through the Facebook or Zoom, all my connections started to tell me, why don't you read this? Or why don't you watch this? I started studying. My breakthrough moment is somebody says, but nobody ever died because of the panic attack. And I was like, why didn't you tell me so? I mean, I was thinking like, why didn't the doctor tell me you don't die because that was my fear. I might die on the train or in the tiny little bathroom or in the, in the bathtub even. I couldn't really take a bath without opening the door because I was really afraid of some kind of attack happens again, then I might die, alone in the bathtub. That would be really embarrassing and really worse to think, I was thinking about all those negative thoughts. But then I thought, if I don't die, then why I'm so fearful about this? That changes my mind so much. And I started thinking, well, since I don't, those medicine doesn't really work, it doesn't really make me feel better, I'll stop taking that. And the counseling, the professional counseling is not really working. And talking with my friends are much better, having fun and laughing together, eating together would be better. So I started doing that. And eventually, I felt better. And by the time I went to the hospital in February this year, the doctor says, well, you're not taking medicine and you look quite happy, positive, and you are making jokes all the time. So why are you here? Stop coming. And if you feel any trouble and if you want to talk, come back. Actually, to be honest, he was really young and attractive, and I really wanted to see him. Just joking. True. But so he was like, why are you here? Stop coming. And he said that you can start anytime you want if you want to, but you don't need to right now. So in February, I was off meds and I stopped going to the hospital. And instead of that, I started, finding more strategies to coping with the anxiety or upsetting feelings or my roller coaster emotions, how I can deal with it. But the liberation comes with the idea, the fact that I won't die because of the panic attack, right? So that was the beginning and my inspirations and also motivation to do this. Oops, sorry.
自分の可能性にチャレンジし続ける人がいる。車へ
Happening. Sorry. I was gonna change the, yeah, that's right. So my outline of my presentation is the workshop, and the first topic I want to talk about is what is the teacher well-being? Let's define that. And then why does it matter? And let's do some activities and exchanging the ideas and hopefully sharing stories of your case if you don't mind. Okay. So what is teacher well-being? Can anybody open the audio and share your idea? Like, what do you think? What is the teacher well-being means? What does it mean? Well-being mean? Anybody?
Yes, can I pitch it? Keeping teachers sane so they can do the best job that they can. Sane and physically and emotionally healthy.
Yeah, emotionally healthy. That's the emotional, and then maybe physical health is the well-being, I guess. Yeah, thank you. And okay, so let's ask.
Can I add too?
Oh yeah, sure.
I love that, Sachiko. I think that's a great start. I would add also like contentedness, and even in the most optimal situation, thriving.
Yeah, thriving is such a great word. Thank you, Mary.
In this situation, it's quite hard to thrive, but at least contentedness and right, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. And another this quote is that well-being is the presence of positive emotions and lack of negative emotions and the sense of overall life satisfaction. This is ultimate maybe well-being, but I don't really think that a lack of negative emotions is really possible. I don't really think that it's possible. It's more like you can focus on more positive emotions and then having a sense of overall life satisfaction. So you can ask yourself, are you satisfied with your work or whatever you do or who you are? That is the probably teacher well-being, the emotional, physical, and positive and emotions, and then probably the healthy bodies and satisfaction. Okay, so next one is why does it matter? Can anybody answer? Why the teacher's well-being matters? Well, especially in the classroom. In terms of teaching, probably it matters a lot. Why do you think so?
May I?
I
mean, well, the number one influence in the classroom is the teacher.
Yeah.
And if their emotions or their outlook or their attitude is negative, it affects everyone in the classroom.
Exactly. The teacher's emotion is contagious, isn't it? Well, anybody's emotion. For example, like when you have a party, the meeting with your friends, and then one person going, my life all the time, and it's like a party pooper, and the whole atmosphere will go down sometimes. Like whinging. So, and if you are stepped into the classroom and then going, I'm so tired, I don't feel like doing that. I remember one professor back in the university days in Japan. He was drunk, like he went out or something, and then he had so much alcohol and he was hungover, and he didn't feel like teaching on that day. He came into the classroom and then he was no motivation whatsoever. I was really upset about that. And then I told him, that's not the way you should be. You are the teacher, you should be the leader in this class. And then I was just a student, and he was really surprised. I was really angry with him. I remember that. So when I become a teacher, like teaching, I thought I would never ever forget about this teacher who didn't really do his job. I don't want to be like him. Yeah. And another quote, like Mary says, teacher and the learner well-being are two sides of the same coin, isn't it? We, especially in the language learning classroom, the teacher and the learner, the student's boundary is kind of blur. We don't lecture. We like to facilitate the learning space, and also the students will contribute a lot to our teaching. So that's what I believe anyway. And next one is when teachers are in the, this is exactly what the Mary said. And also another thing is that teacher's mind will broaden when you're in a positive state or healthy mind, and you can have lots and lots of ideas. So one of the examples is I started taking the morning walk in the summer, and it's really good, refreshing, and then changing the mood. And I got lots and lots of fun activities and then ideas what to do or what to say, and what kind of videos I should share, what kind of stuff I could do in the class, and what kind of a project I could come up with. So it is so true. When you are positive and healthy, your mind will broaden. And also here is teacher's moods, emotions, and motivation are highly contagious for better. Yeah. So that's why it matters. And I remember I took some teacher training courses, and I was told, or we were told, always student first, student centered. Think about your student, how student want, how student need, what student learn, and what can you do for them? But we've never been told that. What about us? What about the teachers? What about our well-beings? What about our happiness? What about our motivation? Not the students' motivation. What about us? If we don't have a motivated, if we are not really well, how can we facilitate something? How can we offer? So it matters, right? So now it's kind of like a breakout room time, and let's do some teacher well-being activity and reconnecting with your joys and passions. This is from Mercer and Gregersen and Teacher Well-Being, published by Oxford University. plus last year to 2020. So the first question would be number one, like, why did you become a language teacher? Well, we're going to get into the breakout room, and probably how many participants? Okay, 16. So maybe we could make 4 or 3 or 4 breakout rooms, and we're going to discuss. I want you to discuss in the breakout room. Why did you become a language teacher? Do you remember? For me, I got the really long story, so I'm going to cut. I'm not going to share that. If I have time, I will share that. It's a really, really long story, actually. What about number 2? Which aspect of teaching language do you love? For me, it's so easy. It's the interactions with the students. And sometimes it's very authentic and it could be very inspiring. That's the I love. But what about you? What kind of project and then positions at your workplace excite you? I always love to listen to some of the presentations that students do, and they choose their own topic. And some of the presentations are amazing. Some of them really interesting and inspiring as well. So that's excites me. Number 4 is, do you have a dream, a vision, and an aspiration for yourself in relation to work? I do. So I like to share that as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna put you in probably, okay, 4 breakout rooms, 3 or 4 people, yeah? And if you can, please take the notes or something. Why did you become a language teacher? Maybe I can send you the question later. And which aspects of teaching languages do you love? 1, 2, 3, 4 question. And when you come back to the main room, and I hope that you can share some of your ideas. Okay, I'm sorry I'm doing a presentation and then you've written some chat, but I'll try to answer later. So right now, I want you to go to the breakout room. So about maybe, what time is it now? Okay, 10 minutes also. I hope it's okay. All right, please go.
We had a great thing. When she notices that her students finally get her instructions, when a light bulb goes off in their heads, that's a great moment. And we all are like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Anything, do you think Natsuki can share your really positive and experience? We listened to her story and then we thought like, wow, that's a really great story.
This connects to students' interaction, but like when I interact with a boy who couldn't really fit in a classroom, like always, always give me super ball.
Yeah.
And
bouncy ball. Yeah.
Bouncy ball.
Yeah.
Throw the bouncing ball to me. And as a teacher, I started to use that moment and let's play with it. And we just throw a ball each other, bumped on the ground once, and he catch. And when I repeated that, it started to naturally, we started conversation and we opened up our minds. And also I could teach him a word round. This is round and bouncing, and this is red. And so incidental learning was there, and also I could really connect each other. And that made me as a teacher the most.
Well done. That's really great. Okay, Charlie. Yeah.
No, and if I can just add on, I just watched Natsuki give a presentation at Eisenkyo about her graduate research with third grade elementary students, and it was remarkable. And I think that there's this sort of affective support that she's giving her students is part of the reason that they're doing so well. So it was a great presentation. It was great research. And I think she's going to be a wonderful teacher.
Yay! Welcome board. Welcome to our society and a community of teachers. Yay, yay. Okay. Thank you, Natsuki. What about Mary? Can you share that?
Gotta put my mic on there. Yeah. Oh, we had a really wonderful discussion, and I just want to highlight Marissa shared her project that she does with her students about sharing gratitude.
Oh,
and
yes.
I can't tell you enough. I just heard some awesome research about how hearing other people's stories of gratitude increases your own well-being. It creates a longevity. It boosts your immune system. What happens to your brain when you receive gratitude or you hear other people's stories of gratitude really helps your well-being. So I really encourage you to do what Marissa's doing, which is having your students share their gratitude. What are they thankful for?
That's great. Yeah.
Really fantastic. Really fantastic discussion. Thank you, Marissa.
Yeah. And maybe someday I can, I can share with you the text, the storybook that we did. And now, actually, this year, my project is to create a storybook again with a focus on the self-care, because that is what we need. Yeah.
Well,
we
there
teachers,
is
students.
Yeah, excellent. There is something that approach, something called the circle time. And I think it was adopted in the UK, and you sit in a circle and actually saying something, thankful for every morning. And I used to do that at elementary school when I was working
in New Zealand elementary school too.
Yeah.
Every morning the children sit in a circle. It's not part of language class, it's just part of general education.
General.
Helps everybody.
Amazing? Yeah, to set a really positive mood in the morning. And I'm thankful for mother cooking the breakfast for me, or I'm thankful for like tiny little things, but your mind shift into something really positive. And
helping children to do that, helping young children to do that, to be able to say those things, that puts them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because we teachers have the role actually to mold and change their mindset from negative to positive.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like Mary says, it's so contagious, and then we are inspired by the really like a thankful mood. Oh, I should be more thankful, every morning it's a reminder of blessings.
It makes me think of, I don't know, there's a whole series of books called Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yes.
And they're just like thousands, hundreds of, maybe not thousands of anecdotes of people sharing, stories of gratitude. And I've actually used those stories sometimes in class, and they're really wonderful moments where everybody feels happy. And
Derek
yes, well, there we go. Derek, all right. I knew we were on the same wavelength when we were in the first room.
I think we're just exactly the same person, Charlie.
Except that you have a very, very beautiful young daughter.
Yeah, he's got the really, really beautiful young daughter.
Oh
my God, she's grown up so fast. Stop growing. Stop growing.
Talk about chicken soup for the soul. There it is, right there.
Yeah, I know. The baby is like amazing, the inspiring, and then especially like children as well. Probably Natsuki will know that. The elementary school kids always give me a positive.
They're like about as pure as they come.
Cute. They're so cute. First grader, second grader, third graders, and fifth grader. I don't know. Yeah, it's they're so amazing. Okay, I'm gonna go on to thank you so much everybody for activities and all those contributions. So now I'd like to talk about this one. Suggestions for your well-being, hobbies, passions, activities to enhance your health. Well, of course, that joining a group, such as this kind of, presentations or JOLT, connecting with other teachers and SIGs and CETers or OTJ, ETJ, all those teachers group, they're there. Some of them are free. So you can join and share the experiences, the sentiment and all that. But what about on your own, the individual, some kind of a suggestion? Okay, Charlie.
No, one thing that I will just say from my own experience, when I first became a university teacher, I didn't really know what I was doing yet. And I remember being a part-time teacher. It was at Bunkyo Women's College. And, I used to sit at the lunch table with all of the other part-time teachers, and they were all so wise and they had so much experience and I didn't. And so I listened to everything they said and learned a lot of things, but many of them were quite negative about teaching, about Japan, about their students. And the things they said were not incorrect, but they were quite negative. And after a few weeks, a few months, I started feeling like I was being pulled in a bad direction.
Yeah.
And then one day, one of the full-time teachers asked me to, if I would join him for lunch. And I joined him for lunch, and everything he said was positive about how wonderful the students were, about how wonderful his job was, about how wonderful, the opportunity was to help people. And everything he said was correct too. And I was a very young teacher, but I remember making a decision that, I can't hang out with those other teachers because they're all negative and they're pulling me in the wrong direction. And I decided from that point that I would only, spend time with people who loved their job and loved their students and loved what they were doing. Both people, what they were saying was not incorrect, but I wanted to be more positive about my job. And that made a big difference. And so what I'm saying, the reason I'm saying that is that just because you join JOLT or just because you join a group doesn't mean it will be positive.
Right.
I think you have to take one more step, and you have to choose.
Find that,
people like Chiyuki is one of my heroes. I mean, I get so much positive energy, and I love my job and I love my life because of the way she treats her students and treats this profession. And I think what you have to do is find people like Chiyuki and put, when you find them, don't let go. Hold on to them, and those are the people that are going to push you in the positive direction and make you more professional and make you more positive and make you more passionate to help your students. And I think it's not only joining the professional organizations, it's discerning, making a choice. Because the positive people, they're right, and the negative people, they're right also. But with the negative people, you will hate your job and you will hate what you're doing and you will take it out on your students. So that's just one tiny word of wisdom.
But it's really important. That's so true. Wherever you go, even at the companies, it's not only the teachers groups, but also among the people, the influence, like a positive ones, and then it's really like a treasure. You are one of my treasure as well. Mary?
Yeah, I just want to say yes, Charlie. You are right on, but especially about Chiyuki being a treasure.
Yes,
she certainly is. But I just want to say something about negative and positive thinking. In that we have what are called cognitive distortions. And one of them is this black and white thinking where people then they focus on either only the positive or only the negative, right? Either or, but there are so many gradations of gray in between, and we need to consider those gradations and for ourselves, right? But we, and I think actually in Japanese culture, they actually do that way more. I'm from the United States, and in the United States, we really have black and white thinking.
Well,
Right? It's like good or evil, either or. But you're right. Both have both are true. But how to kind of work through the gradations of that and how much is true. But I totally agree with you about also gravitating toward the more positive attitudes.
It's
right?
really
Positive
important
attitudes.
especially as a new teacher and as a young teacher, just surround yourself by people who are passionate and positive, because what they're saying is correct too, and that will pull you in the right direction.
And also when you can't really choose, for example, like Mary says, like that Japan, we are based on, I think it's based on the Buddhism or Shintoism. We have this kind of a concept, nothing is black and white. And we are okay with a blur kind of grayish area. And we always find the balance in the chaos. And that's meditation, actually. The meditation, when you do the meditation, all the negative thoughts, positive thoughts coming and passing through your mind, you don't get caught in either of them. You just look at it, observe, and go, okay, that was negative. That was positive. Why is that? It's interesting. Something like that. Well, that is when you can't really have all those positive influences. Sometimes you get into, the situation that you have to deal with the person who always wins. Or, your team teacher. Sometimes I got that experience. Well, I wish this person doesn't really whinge this morning, but started doing that. Then this technique works really well. Like Mary says, like, okay, this is what it is, but probably I don't get caught with that. But the new teachers, as well too. Mary?
Yeah. Is my mic on? I remembering a workshop that Chiyuki and I went to together about adapting to Japanese culture. And do you remember, I forgot the guy's name, but it was part of CTAR, I think.
I used to work with CTAR as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he basically said, in order to adjust to a new culture, you got to focus in on something you love about it. It's not going to help to focus on the negative all the time.
Right.
And there is a place for negative thinking,
sure.
But to adapt to Japanese culture, you have to even if it's just one tiny thing, you got to just focus and zoom in on that, and then you can be comfortable living in any culture.
So if anything we could learn from 2020, I thought finding a peace in the chaos in a way. Don't you think? Like in a Zoom, something happens
totally.
And then you start laughing.
No, I think you're right. I mean, it really is just looking for something positive in whatever your situation is. And it really surprised me how many good things happened in Zoom, actually. I wasn't expecting that the teaching would be that good. I mean, it's still face-to-face, of course. There are many benefits, but a teacher who is passionate and who cares about their students, there's an awful lot you can do to connect with your students in Zoom, with the breakout rooms and with this, so many other techniques. I mean, there are things you can do to make the same kind of connections, in some ways even better, right? So it's a matter of the mindset. If your mindset, again, I'm a teacher trainer. So with when I'm training my students, I say it's not it's not about a specific technique. It's about what you believe about language teaching. If you believe that human connection is important, then figure out a way to make that happen. If and that can be done in Zoom, that can be done face to face. But what you really strongly believe about learning, if you and again with Natsuki, if you believe that the affective domain is important and it should be positive and fun and friendly and games and songs, then figure out a way to make that happen, whether it's Sanensei or Gonensei or Chugakse or Kokosei. It's what you believe as a teacher. And if you follow your beliefs and do it passionately, your students respond to that for sure.
Yeah, and then remember that we are contributing the world of peace. Because don't you think ultimately language teaching is enhancing the world of peace because of the boundaries of the language we are taking, get rid of that. And also the more the language you learn, the heart will go up and then opened, wider capacity to accept all the perspectives, right? So I really do think the ultimate goal of our job, language teaching, is the world of peace. That's my dream.
Yeah.
Actually. And then wherever, it doesn't have to be only English, any language. Then it's less boundaries, and that's my ultimate dream and goal. Haha. Okay, anyway, this one is another one. Thank you. This one is another one that you could do with your families or friends when they are in trouble or something. Active listening. And this was talked about by Rogers, who was a psychologist, and he was the first one who started doing a patient-centered counseling. And he believes that we all know the answer on our own, and all we need is somebody who take the answer out of us by reflecting what we said. It's not giving the suggestions or advice or anything, but by listening to what the person say and reflecting, and the person will be like, get the aha moment, like, oh, this is what I really wanted to do. That's what I've been doing with probably Charlie a lot most, and Mary sometimes, and then some of my friends, they will listen to my story and ask me, what do you want to do? And I can get the answer. I can get to the point where I want it to be. And they are really, really empathetic and be present with me, and really super non-judgmental. And
the empathy, right? That's the word.
Yes.
That's the key word. I mean, I think when teachers, feel empathy strongly, all of the other things kind of follow naturally. Like my teaching approach, my way of talking, my way of doing, everything I think follows empathy. If my student is sad, I change what I'm doing. If my students are bored, I change what I'm doing. And I think if you have a sensitivity to what your students are feeling, then like the answer of what to do next, it changes moment by moment. It changes, according to the expression in their face, what's in their eyes. And I think you're right. I think empathy is like probably the number one thing to be a great teacher.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing I would like to give for the new teachers, like if I can suggest something, well, most of the teachers is very, very empathetic. That means you are kind of vulnerable to the criticism, vulnerable to the judgment, vulnerable to all the stuff. And sometimes you really have to, protect yourself. And the shield, the protector, your friends, like Charlie was talking about, Mary was talking about, good friends, listeners, and all those people around you who obviously love you and care about you and empathetic with you. So that's another thing I kind of experienced that. I was really naive at the beginning, and then I got all the judgment and criticism, and some of the students' words, really hurting words.
Yeah,
I took it too
right?
personally. Yeah, it's a boom, ouch, you know, and I felt like I was like suicidal or something. But then I learned that this is another kind of the step to get to them, and without being judgmental, and go there, get in there and try to connect with them really deeply. But that is only when you are very, very healthy, emotionally and physically healthy, you can do that. If you are a little bit, sometimes we are not superhuman. We are just a human. So when we are a little bit weaker, stop there, right there. Look after yourself first. And then when you get better again, do it again. Don't give up, but sometimes you have to be really wise when and where to be empathetic. That's something I've learned from 30 years of teaching. At the beginning, I was all open and, you know.
No, it's self-preservation, right? You know, so we can be empathetic 110% until it feels dangerous.
Yes.
Until it feels like, you know, we're losing ourselves and we have no energy. And then at that point, you know, the best thing you can do is to pull back a little bit, because if you are not healthy, then you're not able to help your students.
Exactly.
And I think, you know, for Chiyuki and I, we're good friends, and we sort of are able to help each other.
Yes.
And I think if you are able to find a few good friends that you trust 100%,
yes,
you know, in those moments when you're getting a little bit weak, you know, you don't have to give up.
Yes.
You don't have to stop doing what you're doing. You just go to your friends and they
ask them for help.
And then you go back again. You know, you can jump back into the fight after you've gotten a little bit of energy from the friends that believe in the same thing. So again, that's why you have to focus, you have to find people you really trust and who are really positive. So that when you are down, you know, if you have a negative friend, you know, someone who hates education or is negative about it, when you are down, if they start saying all the negative things, that puts you, you know, bad, but you go in a worse direction.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody who's positive like you, when you are down, they're up. They pull you back up again.
Yes,
And that's what you need.
Yeah, don't hesitate, ask for help. Because when you got better, you can, in return, you can help somebody else, or, you know, it's all connected. I used to hesitate to ask for help, but not anymore. I always say, hi, can I talk? Can I have a chat? You know, so it really helps you to do something, you know, meaningful later. All right. So next one, probably this is the last activity, but this is something I learned from and the course I took in the summer, the Science WellBeing. Have you ever heard of the WHOOP? I was talking about that and on Facebook, and I did that at the beginning of fall semester with my students. WHOOP is just a tool for goal setting. By setting a tiny, like small step goals, which can be achievable within a few months. So it's not going to be like a dream or, you know, I'm going to change the world, I'm going to conquer the world. No, but within a few months. For example, I did the gratitude journal, like Mary mentioned in the summer. Oh my goodness, like it changes my mood so much. And then I could go back and then read in that. And when I feel a little bit down, that really boosted my inspirations and the mood as well. So it was really, really good because that was my wish, taking the gratitude journal every single day for during the summer vacation. And then find a concrete way to express my wish. So at least, every day, a few lines. If I don't feel like doing that, just a few lines or even one line a day, but I do every single day, and then thinking about what I'm thankful for. And it's just a tiny little thing. My daughter is sleeping in the bed next to me. I'm thankful for, because it could be worse, right?
Chiyuki, do you want to mention something about the yoga program that you developed? Because you were also, right now we're talking about teachers writing a thankfulness journal, but you actually, sort of worked on having students do that, and I think that was so beautiful. When you came up with that idea, I was blown away. So if you can talk about that, that would be great.
Yeah, it was I studied how to be a yoga teacher for children, and at the beginning I just hope that I come up with this mantra, like be kind, be nice, be the best you could. Those 3 mantras to yourself: be kind, be gentle, and be the best you could be, which means no comparison to others. Because nowadays the children lived in, hi Isla, lived in, so cute, lived in the such a competitive world, probably, and even at the elementary school. Hi Isla. And so I thought being kind to yourself, being gentle, and remember, don't compare. There's nothing to compare. Just if you like to compare to yourself, like in the past, yesterday, and you could see the progress anytime. So that was actually the mantra of my yoga practice and the course I was designing.
And I think it was wonderful for the students. I mean, for children, for young children who are, maybe we're not told to do that by their parents. And are having difficulty getting, along with other children, to think about one thing nice about someone else. I mean, it's a wonderful first step. So I think it's a great thing for us as teachers. But to the extent that we can find ways to do that with our students, especially young students, it's very powerful.
Nowadays, young students have a lot of problems as well. So there are, Alex, would you like to add something?
Yeah, with the timing of what you were just saying about young students, in my last year before shifting to university, I was teaching wide levels, and in kindergartens, I'd go in and teach sort of active English. And then at the end of the class, I used to have a counting activity of counting 1 to 10, and it was all hands-on, but because of COVID, well, we couldn't do it. So I switched that to the end of the lesson. The kindergarten room teacher and I would do a thing together where we would the kids would put their hands down, their heads down on their desks, and they would breathe in and breathe out. And before they said, and I would say the numbers, 1, and we'd say, breathe in, breathe out. And we would just do that very slowly up to 10. And the effect was transformative because they were all so calm.
Yes, calm.
And at the end of the lesson, they'd all stand up and they'd do their farewell greeting. And then they just start talking in a quiet voice about, okay, we better go. We've got to line up to go to the bathroom, or we've got to do something. And they would just get themselves really organized. They wouldn't be hyper. They wouldn't be running around like marbles. They were really focused and they loved it. And I had some little cards on the board that showed them what was coming up. And they would just read down the board and they'd say, oh, number time. And they'd run to the desks and sit down, getting ready to do it. It was really, really nice effect. And I did it with 3 different kindergartens, and all of them.
I can see
Big class,
it's
small
totally
class. It
working.
was really
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
I really recommend that.
Yeah.
It's deep breathing activity.
Yeah, even
Just for
at
1
the
minute.
elementary school, the first grade, second grade, third grade, when
That's
you
wonderful.
have a really, really active activities, and then right after that, you could just, okay, let's try to do the breathing activity. So you're gonna, breathe in and out, 1 and 2, and it totally changes the mood. And you don't really have to like, don't do that, nagging. And it's kind of fun way to come down. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you.
And it made the teachers really happy as well.
Yeah.
Because they could see how their class could just focus really beautifully and just relax together and be kind to each other without any direction. The kids just did it themselves because they enjoyed it. So it's lovely. And yeah, good point, Mary, that breathing together creates a cohesion.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna try that. I mean, like I work with undergraduates and graduate students, and I'm doing teacher training. And a lot of what I do is focused on self-efficacy. It's on student-centered, letting the students they do like practice lessons, they give each other feedback, and over the period of 2 or 3 years, they just before my very eyes, they grow up, and they grow in confidence, they grow in many things. And I think it's the affective element of what I'm doing that is like I'm kind of standing back and letting them grow. But like I think that what we're talking about tonight, and with some of these elements, the yoga elements and the breathing elements and the calming elements, I think I could add those in the future. And I think it would be even better because it fits in with sort of the values of my approach to teaching. So this is really helpful. Thank you.
There are so many.
Sorry, we're taking over, Chiyuki, but
no,
Charlie, listen, I do breathing with my students too. They absolutely love it.
This is great. I'm so happy I came tonight. This is great.
Chiyuki, the energy here is so wonderful. But seriously, breathing and even like any kind of rhythmic thing you can do with your students, like even clapping or moving around in a circle. These things create great group cohesion, but breathing, you guys got to help your students learn to breathe through your nose, through your nose.
It opens up.
It's funny you say that because we do things for pronunciation with like balloons in the air, and a lot of the kind of weird things that we do in some way are parallel to what you're talking about. It's sort of this creating a group rhythm and a group dynamic and out of the box kind of thinking in a that creates a positive vibe. But what you're talking about, like I've never done before. So this is great.
I've been doing very short yoga sessions every single class with Women's University because all of them wants to do. And at the beginning, only 5 minutes or so, but mainly yoga is a breathing. It's about breathing and then a little bit of an asana, like moves, but it's in order to do the breathing exercise, we move. So something in the UK, there are so many elementary schools started doing little yoga in the morning or circle time. So hopefully Japan, maybe Natsuki can be the first one who's going to do the yoga practice in the classroom. That would change. It's going to be really, really great, and then those bouncy balls boy will enjoy that too. You're gonna find it really.
You kind of missed, like her presentation about what she did with Natsuki, what she's doing with her students, with her third year elementary school students was amazing. And very, very positive, very, very, focused on connecting with the students. And I think she's doing already a lot of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
that's why I call her natural.
I was very amazed.
Well done. Well, can I continue to little bit explain this one, whoop? Because it might be a really good idea after like the new year, at the beginning of the new year, whoop. And you can ask the student, make a wish, like a tiny bit, like really small step, something achievable within a few months. And think about the outcome. This order is really important. Think about like a positive, really imagine the outcome. If I do this, I can be more, happy, maybe positive, and then I can always smile. I can make everybody laugh or make everybody smile or something like that. Something outcome of your wish. And then you're going to think about a little bit, be realistic. There will be obstacles, of course, because you want to do it every day. Like a tiny, like a morning walk, for instance, but every day is a little bit challenging. And then you're going to think about maybe what could be the obstacle. Maybe my daughter will ask me to cook a breakfast, something a little bit more difficult. So it took me, all the morning, I can't really go. Then planning is what can you do with it? If my daughter says, okay, just in case, I'm going to cook breakfast in advance or something. And then you could think about the plans to overcome all those obstacles. So this one is a really good goal setting tool to achieve your tiny little goal.
So Chiyuki, whoop is so whoop is what they say when they've achieved the goal, or like I'm just trying to get like.
Well, this is just a catchy name, I think, for this goal setting tool. Mm-hmm. Because WHOOP stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, plan.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what it stands for. I'm sorry.
Right. Sorry. So WHOOP sounds really catchy, isn't it? And then it's really easy to remember. So that's why I was talking about like, would you like to whoop your life? And my student made a wish, and I promise I'm going to ask them, did you achieve your goal at the end of the semester? So that's another thing you can connect with the student as well. So something you share, your wish or something really personal, and then sharing. So I hope that you could do that as well.
It's not exactly the same thing, but one thing I've done with my writing classes is, Japanese writing classes tend to focus on grammar and correct, spelling and, correct punctuation. When I was teaching writing classes, I would focus on writing fluency, and I would use diaries. And I would have all of my students, I would start with a short amount, and each week the length would increase. And I say, I'm not gonna mark you on grammar. I'm not gonna mark you on spelling. The only thing I'm gonna mark you on is how much you write. And then my comments to them, none of the comments were about whether it was right or wrong. All of my comments were personal. And so I would respond to their writing, and they would respond to that. And it ended up being this like my writing classes were probably, I was more connected with my Japanese students in my writing classes than anywhere else. And I think it was because of this kind of non-confrontational, non-judgmental dialogue that I created with them, where they could write whatever they wanted to, and I would just respond positively to almost whatever they said. And I'm not sure if that relates to what we're talking about, but it was a very positive thing where connections were made.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we are human. We can't. The fact is, we can't live alone. No matter how strong you are, no matter how wise you are, you cannot live alone. We are human just because we live in a society. We based on the connections, and we function with the connections. That's how I learned from my students, and then that's how I learned from, you know, the 30 years of teaching. Okay, I'm gonna stop. That would be the last slide, is all those references. If you like to have those references, please let me know, because I can send you later. And thank you so much. This is one of my favorite spot. This is actually one of my friend's garden. So again, having a really great friends, you know, you can go to, you don't have to have that. You can just visit there, and you can just looking at the really nice lights, and then with a beautiful garden, and you can enjoy that. You don't really have to have that, but you need friends and you need a connection. So that would be the ending of my presentation. And thank you so much. And
as always, very amazing, very amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you very much.
Yeah, Jackie, was there any lots of questions on the chat? Did you check or?
There's lots of comments as you were going along. Lots and lots of comments. Thank you to everyone who was participating.
Chiyuki, they were all negative. They were all negative comments.
It's okay. I laugh at it. I would laugh.
They were all glowingly positive. I'm just joking.
Okay. So I would like to read that maybe later. Is it okay? Yeah. Please share with me. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And then thank you, Jackie, for inviting me for this amazing night. I'm so inspired and motivated, and look at me. I can't really, like, my smile is way too big.
No such thing as too big of a smile.
Okay. And also, Charlie, Bao and Yurika-san are also the student who wants to be a teacher and who's been researching about the teachers' well-being and everybody. So Bao-san and Yurika, if you like to interview any of us, please ask.
Yes, please.
And
I'm always free. I'm happy to help. If there's anything I can do, I'm always happy to help.
Thank you. I'm actually a lecturer at Tokai University, so I'm.
Oh, you are sorry.
And Tokai, I lots of friends at Tokai.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a great school. Wonderful.
Yeah, I really love it. And
are you in Hiratsuka campus?
Oh no, I'm in the Takanawa campus.
Oh, Takanawa. I've not been there, but it's a great school. Wonderful school.
You are too young to be a lecturer. Just kidding. Just kidding. Wow.
I'm too old to be a teacher.
So seriously, this was a really great crowd. Thank you so much. I hope.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you
I hope you
much.
learned something. And Jackie, would you like to say something? Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I just wondered, I don't know if you're up for it, Chiyuki, but if anybody has questions or such, then we can do that. Yeah, if anybody.
Any questions?
Yeah, is that okay? Yeah, if so, just
comment.
Turn on your microphone and speak.
Yeah. Last chance. I won't take any questions anymore.
Yeah.
No. Yes, please.
Lots of inspiring thing in my heart, in my mind right now. But one thing I was been thinking is there any difference between being critical and no judgmental? And I've been thinking, be critical and no judgmental. No judgmental was one of your advice to be happy. But I think being critical is sometimes also help us to be happy, being better.
Critical thinking might be very good idea. Look at the stuff. Don't blindly believe in whatever the media says or whatever the people says. Think about, okay, that's what she thinks. That's what he thinks. That's what it says. But let's take a look and study a little bit more before you judge something. You know, and then non-judgmental is completely different.
And in the classroom, right? You know, being non-judgmental always, never judging, right? You know, as a teacher, we should never judge. But we can be critical. We have standards about what level the students should attain, how much work they should do. And we can be honest about that without being judgmental. One of the things I learned through mistakes was to never get angry, the moment the moment you get angry, even if the students are wrong and you are right, if you get angry, you become wrong and you lose something. You lose a connection with the students. And so I after my second or third year in teaching, I realized I have to be ultra patient. Even if my student does something wrong, even if the class doesn't try, I have to be patient and positive and so empathy and positive attitude, that's what we can do. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't set a standard. And so yes, we can be critical and we can judge according to the grade standards that we set, but we can do it in a positive way without judging. And very often, if you do that, very often the students who are your weakest students, who are your most negative, who are the bad students, if you're positive and patient, they sometimes change and become your greatest student. And that's one of the biggest joys of teaching is when somebody who seemed like they were a bad student, because of your patience, they become maybe a great student. That's a wonderful thing. So just be patient and be positive and show your love and your empathy. And I think there's a saying somewhere, love conquers everything. And I think it's true in teaching.
Love is the only answer.
I think it is. I am being stupid maybe, but I think that in many situations, if you just keep on with a positive vibe, even if personally, internally, you are angry, internally, you are sad or disappointed, just don't show it.
It's like, anger will last only for 15 seconds, I heard, scientifically. So after 50 seconds, it doesn't matter. So why do you caught up in such a fleeting moment and sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Mary?
I just want to add, well, it's hard to add anything more than what Charlie said because it's so fantastic. But yeah, anger is usually something about our expectations. It's not about the other person.
It is.
Right? So, but I will say, so non-judgmental is really important, not only about our students, but about ourselves. But critical thinking or criticism, and even negative thinking has an important part to play in just seeing the overall reality of things. Yes, we should have a positive attitude and we should have positivity, but we shouldn't ignore the negative aspects. In fact, the Stoic philosophy, often it's like plan for the worst and hope for the best kind of mentality. So we have to look at everything, all aspects. But being non-judgmental is so important with our students. Often, like for example, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow in my presentation, but if we see a student with their head down on the desk, we might think they're sleeping. And if we take it personally, like they're not paying attention to my great lesson.
But you never know,
But we don't know. There are so many other alternative explanations.
Right. Yes.
Right? Like maybe your lesson's actually boring, or maybe the lesson is too difficult, or maybe I actually had a student who had their head down, and I'm grateful that I went up to him and said, "Are you okay?" Not why you're sleeping, right? With anger. I just said, "Are you okay?" his mother died the week before.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
We really need to be compassionate.
Yeah, you have to be compassion. Yes.
Right? Compassion and know that there are various alternative explanations that we might not understand, right? So being open-minded like that.
Exactly.
I hope that helps a little.
That's great.
Alex, anything else?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, being positive, being critical, I had a situation with some students on Friday. I'm always very upbeat, very positive. And then I knew they were about to go into school festival, so they're all really hyped. And the week before they had speaking tests the week before, like conversational pairs and things. And I wanted to show them some stuff on neurodiversity, which would be a complete change. And while I was setting up the equipment, I said, okay, just do pair practice, but this time you've got one more interview coming up. This time I want you to leave your phones, because they had notes on their phones, leave your phones, leave your books on the table, and just try to remember everything, just some of the questions you used in your pair work interviews, because they were about country profiles and demographics and things, and try to see what you can do. And a few of these kids were sort of, they're non-English majors, and a couple of them were just like joking, and then they were sort of affecting the kids around them. And so then it was affecting the mood of the room, and couldn't get the screen going. And I just said, look, you're not using a voice that would be appropriate to having a conversation. You're using, you're making fun of it. And I've just listened to what you've just said, and that was your junior high school speech. Your junior high school activity. And I said, you say this, this, and this. And another kid looked at him and said, oh, busted. And he wasn't attempting to do something. And then they started talking to each other about, well, we should be trying. And I said, we haven't been able to do much pair work because of COVID. And right now we have this little window where you can do pair work face to face. And I just want you to just relax and just talk in as much English as you can, and just remember the words you wanted to use but you couldn't, and we'll do those after, just while I get this set up. And the mood changed, and they actually did work. And I was thinking, okay, have I overstepped it or not? I'm not really sure. And then one of these boys was saying, think, feel, don't think. And I said, now, Mr. Feel, don't think, where did you get that from? And he said, oh, I don't know. And I said, oh, was it an English teacher? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, was it in junior high school, senior high school? And he said, senior high school. And I said, was it your a Japanese teacher of English or an ALT? And he said, oh, it was the ALT. And I said, well, and he said, I can't do English. And I said, well, you've got his pronunciation, and you've got his intonation and his style, and you've remembered it all perfectly. So you've got that ability. And he sort of blew up like a balloon.
Nice.
And so it felt
great.
It felt
Alex,
like it was
great.
recovered. It felt like it was recovered,
Wow.
but they did actually work really hard after that. So, and then we were able to go on to our other activity, thank goodness. But it was one of those tense moments. The only time I felt sort of frustrated with that group.
Yeah, but you helped him.
We got through it, because I said, you guys are going to be standing up in front of a class in a couple of years' time. And these kids have all had access to tablets, they've had access to audio, which you didn't have, and you need to feel more confident. So I want you to have that physical experience to speaking. And so they were, but hey, Omicron. Sorry, I shouldn't say the O word, but yeah, we've got to take these chances to talk.
Don't worry, it's a weaker variant.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, good.
Have hope.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, well, and also Jackie says that constructive criticism, Natsuki, you should remember that. As long as it's constructive, if it's not really bashing or something, then you should take it, and also you could give that constructive criticism to your students, I guess, as long as it's.
No, I was just thinking with my teacher training, because I do teacher training, what I do with my students is they do mogi jigyo, and then the students have to give constructive criticism to each other. And what happens is they very quickly pick up that even though I want them to make suggestions on how to improve, they watch a lesson and they should make suggestions. Okay, this was, this needs to be changed. This needs to be changed. You're talking too much. There's that part of it, but 70% of it is supportive. The students just very quickly, intuitively pick up that they should be encouraging each other. This was really interesting. That was really great. This was amazing. And what happens is, without me really saying directly, they learn how to support each other.
Right.
They learn how to encourage each other. And I think this is part of it too. As we give the power to the students, as we, even some of my assignments, I get students to grade each other rather than me grading.
Yeah.
And when we give power to the students to give comments to each other, to give grades even to each other, they do it in a very compassionate way, and they do it in a very empowering way, and that builds confidence. That builds the confidence of the person who is presenting, more than the teacher can. So I think that student-centered learning in an empathetic way, it can be really powerful.
Empowering,
it really feels like there's an emotional element, that if the teacher is sensitive to that emotional element, a lot of other things can go well.
It is. So that's why I do really think that I really miss face-to-face classes, because it's the reward, right? I can see the student, I can feel the mood, that's the senses. And then we got 5 senses, and sometimes the great teacher got the teacher senses. That's something like a 6th or 7th. It's amazing. Like, have you ever heard that teacher saying, "I've got eyes at the back, on my back"? My mom used to say that, and she can see everything. She was a teacher. She's one of the really great teachers.
Yeah, but that's when you were trying to steal the cookies.
I can see that, Chiyuki. That's the second cake, Chiyuki. Something like that. And then without looking, and then she said I got the teacher sense, so you can't really lie to me. And she always revealed my life. She's like smiling, and then she goes, "Tell me now." It's like, okay. Tell me the story now. You stop lying. Stop. Just tell me the real story. And then I was like, always, okay. That's teacher senses, and I'm still working on it. And probably everybody does. All right. Any other questions or any other comments? Oh God, I've got so many. Thank you so much. It's like I got more than I give, and I hope that you enjoy as well and sharing. Oh my God, this is great. Thank you so much, everyone. So love. Love is the only answer. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Awesome time together. Thank you so much.
Yes,
wonderful.
It was such a healing session it turned out to be. Thank you, Jackie, for the opportunity.
Well, thanks to you, Chiyuki-san, and thanks to all of you for all of your input and comments, and for
great job,
participating. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
If you got time, and tomorrow Mary will present, and then I'm gonna talk and discuss it. If you have time, please join us. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna say have a nice evening.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Dreams. Thank you.